Hello everyone, welcome back. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments, can you stay silent for one day? Today, I tried something very strange. I decided not to speak for one full day. No talking, no words, nothing. I wanted to see what happens. At first, it felt easy. In the morning, I just stayed quiet. I made coffee, I got ready, I went outside. No one talked to me, so it was fine. No problem.
That sounds easy in the morning, but I think the real problem starts later. What happens when people talk to you? How do you answer?
That's where it became difficult. The first problem was at a coffee shop. The worker asked, "What would you like?" And I just looked at him. I pointed at the menu. I showed with my finger. I tried to smile. It felt a little awkward.
I can imagine that. People probably thought something was wrong. Did they understand you? Or did it become more confusing?
At first, it was confusing. The worker asked again, "Do you want this?" And I just nodded. I got my coffee. But it took more time. Much more time.
So communication becomes slower, and maybe a bit stressful. You need to think more about every action. That's interesting.
Yes, I noticed that too. When I can't speak, I use my hands more. I use my face, my eyes, my body. It's like a different language. Later that day, I met my friends. We usually talk a lot when we meet. We laugh, we tell stories. But this time, I stayed silent. They looked at me and said, "Are you okay? Why are you so quiet today?" I didn't answer.
That must feel very strange. People expect a response. Silence can make them worried. What did you do?
I tried to explain with my hands. I pointed to my mouth and shook my head. I showed no talking. It looked a bit silly. One friend said, "Oh, is this a challenge?" I nodded quickly. Finally, someone understood.
That's good at least. But I guess it didn't stop there. Did they try to talk to you anyway? Or did they respect it?
At first, they respected it. But after some time, they forgot. They asked me questions again, and I just smiled. One friend told a joke. Everyone laughed. I laughed too, but I said nothing.
That's an interesting moment. You are part of the group, but also a little outside, like you are watching more than joining.
Yes, exactly. I felt like an observer. I listened more carefully. I noticed things I usually miss. Small reactions, small details, how people talk, how they move. It was different. Not bad, just different. Then something funny happened. One of my friends looked at me very seriously. He said, "Are you angry with us?" I was surprised. I quickly shook my head. No, no, but I couldn't say it.
Oh no, that's a classic misunderstanding. Silence can look like anger. What did you do then?
I tried to fix it. I smiled a lot. I made big gestures, maybe too big. I pointed at myself, then I showed no again, and I tried to act normal. It looked strange.
I can imagine. The more you try to explain, the more confusing it becomes, like a silent drama.
Yes, another friend said, "Did we do something wrong?" And everyone looked at me. I wanted to say, "No, it's just a challenge," but I stayed silent. That was hard.
That's the moment you really want to speak. When people misunderstand you, silence becomes a problem, not a choice. That's interesting.
Yes. I realized something important. Talking is not only for information, it's also for emotions. When I didn't speak, people didn't understand how I felt, and that created confusion. That surprised me. That moment was the hardest part of the day. Everyone was looking at me, waiting for an answer. I could feel the words in my mouth. I really wanted to speak. I almost said, "No, I'm not angry." It was right there. One sentence, very easy. But I stopped myself.
That sounds like a real breaking point. In my opinion, that's when the challenge becomes serious. It's not about staying silent anymore. It's about controlling yourself.
Yes, exactly. My mind was saying, "Just say it, it's fine." But another part of me said, "No, stay with it." It felt like two voices inside me. I took a deep breath. I looked at my friends, and I decided not to speak. I stayed silent.
That must feel both strong and uncomfortable. You keep your decision, but at the same time, people don't understand you. What happened after that?
Something interesting happened. I stopped trying to explain too much. I just stayed calm and relaxed. And slowly, they understood. One friend said, "Oh, I get it now. It's part of your challenge." And everyone relaxed. The tension disappeared.
That's a nice shift. So instead of forcing communication, you allowed people to understand in their own time. That's actually powerful.
Yes, I learned something there. Silence is uncomfortable at first, but it can also be strong. After that moment, something slowly changed. It didn't become easy immediately, but it became lighter. I felt less pressure. Before that, I was always thinking, how can I explain this? What should I do now? It was tiring. But after the breaking point, I stopped trying so hard. I just stayed present. That helped a lot.
So you didn't try to control everything anymore. You just accepted the situation. In my opinion, that can make things much easier. Did people react differently after that?
Yes, they did. At first, they expected answers, but later they stopped asking so many questions. They adjusted to my silence. And I also changed. I started to listen more. Really listen, not just wait to speak. That felt new.
That's interesting. When we speak less, we might understand more because we focus on others, not on our own response. That's a different kind of communication.
Yes, exactly. I noticed small details, how people react, how they feel, things I usually miss. It wasn't just silence. It was a different way of being with people. More aware, more present. I didn't expect that.
So after the hardest moment, something opened up for you. Not just less stress, but a new perspective?
Yes, that's a good way to say it. A new perspective. And maybe a better one. And then something really funny happened. We were sitting together, just talking and laughing. Well, they were talking. I was just listening. And suddenly, a waiter came to our table. He looked at me and asked, "Are you ready to order?" I looked at him and said, "Nothing."
Oh no, not again. What did you do this time?
I tried to be confident. I pointed at the menu. I showed what I wanted. It worked, at first. But then he asked, "Do you want fries or salad?" And I just froze. I didn't know what to do.
That's a tricky question. You can't just point easily. You need to answer or act it out.
Exactly. So I tried to act. I showed salad with my hands, like mixing something in a bowl. It looked very strange. My friends started laughing. The waiter looked confused. Then he said, "So, Salad?
That's amazing. You created a new language. Silent acting. Very creative.
Yes. I nodded quickly. Yes, salad. Finally. But the whole table was laughing. Even the waiter smiled. It became a funny moment, not stressful anymore.
That's interesting. At first, silence created confusion, but later it created humor. That's a big change.
Yes. I think when I relaxed, other people relaxed too. And everything became easier. At the end of the day, I can say this. It was not easy. There were moments I really wanted to speak. It was hard, but good. I learned how much I talk without thinking, and how much I can understand without speaking. It changed how I see communication, even if just a little.
I understand your point, and I think it sounds interesting. But honestly, I'm not sure I can do it. I feel like I need to speak. Not just for others, but for myself. Silence sounds difficult. Maybe too difficult for me.
That's fair. I felt the same before I tried it. Maybe it's not for everyone, but it's worth thinking about.
Yes, maybe thinking is the first step. Not doing it perfectly, but just asking the question. That's already something.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments, could you stay silent for one day?
Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode.